We are right here at the conference, right? Tech in Asia. So today we're gonna come to interview Mr. Elwartowski. Um, so how long you in Bitcoin?
I've been involved with Bitcoin since 2010. It was like a year after Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin. I was still on the Bitcoin forums when Satoshi was on there answering questions and talking with people. I've basically been able to retire off Bitcoin.
That's
Retired
pretty
back in
cool.
November. Yeah, so now I'm retired, living in Tahiti. I've lived mainly on Bitcoin for the past couple years, so I really enjoy all the advances it's created.
Very nice. So what do you think? What do you think about seasteading? So what you do, what you have to do with that?
Seasteading I've been involved in since 2008. So when Patrick Friedman gave a speech on seasteading back in 2008, I was with the Ron Paul group and thought this was a great way to start new governments, try out new things. I found it interesting, the whole idea of creating a small government and just testing things out. I recall Nietzsche said in his notes in the 1800s, he saw this rising thing of socialism. He said, rather flippantly, he said, "Oh, I wish the socialists would actually, succeed and get their governments implemented, mainly just to show how foolish it was and how terrible it was." But he warned that if they got their way, then millions of people would probably die, which that's what ended up happening with the seasteading. They could implement something like that, they could fail, only a small amount of people would be affected, and if they didn't like their government, they could just move their house.
So how are you gonna move the house?
Well, the house will be floating, so hopefully there's technology down the road where it'll make easy for moving your house and you don't have to uproot yourself.
That looks very interesting. So what do you think about Blue Frontier and the new currency they call Varyon?
Blue Frontiers, it's interesting being in the seasteading field for 10 years and seeing many different companies try out different things. There was a company tried to create just a boat, and many tried to create something way out in the open ocean. It was going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, very expensive. Blue Frontiers is taking a different approach, where they're taking a phased approach, where first they'll start in a host country in a protected lagoon where they can take care of all the engineering, take care of all the simple things that you can't really think of right now, but once we start building, then they'll come up with it. They'll be glad that they're within a nice lagoon, they're near land, anything goes wrong, they got land right there, and then we can expand from there as we grow.
That's very cool.
And with Varyon, being in the blockchain field, I think it's great that they can use a cryptocurrency to raise funds to build this project. They will need, starting out, they'll need their own currency, so that they know what currency will be on the blockchain, on the seastead, so they can build everything around that single currency instead of wondering which currency is going to win out, Bitcoin or Ethereum.
I see. That is cool. So, what is your role at the Blue Frontiers?
My role,
Really?
I kind of joined up with them back in May of last year. I went to the conference and I saw that this was actually a team that can get things done in will get things going. So I volunteered my expertise in Bitcoin, blockchain. So I've been supporting them for the past year with blockchain technology. And as part of the blockchain group, we've come up with about 20 top blockchain things that we want to use for the Seastead. The top one being the currency. We're not going to exclude other currencies, but Blue Frontiers will only accept Varyon for all their anything going through the company, any housing, rentals, any agreements going through Blue Frontiers. But we hope to make it so user friendly that all the businesses will want to accept it. They can accept it along with other currencies. It should be very symbiotic with the rest of the team. Second, we want property registration on the blockchain. So you can, instead of going to some central government, you can do it easily on the public blockchain. Everybody can see you own this property, and you can change it anytime you want. As long as you have a private key, you can transfer it to somebody else. You don't have to go into some crazy red tape, sitting in line in some government office. We want to do voting on the blockchain. A lot of people wonder about voting. How do you do it? Is it going to be one Varyon for one vote, or is it going to be one person for one vote? That will definitely depend on whatever is being voted on. If it's just trying to get a consensus of the people, then they might, just say, okay, one person, one vote. Or if they're trying to kind of get a feel for what the majority of Varyon holders have, they will, that you vote with Varyon itself, so that they know, okay, these large holders actually feel this way or that way, and they can move forward with those type of responses. One other thing is crowd pooling. It's kind of like crowdfunding, but everybody just pools their money together and kind of decides from there, saying, okay, I have this many Varyon, and I support this idea. Whereas with crowdfunding, somebody comes out with an idea and they say, now give me money. With this one, we'll have people with the Varyon saying, like, we need a gas station, we need some different type of food, we need this or that. They'll show how many Varyon they have, and then people who can provide those services can come forward with proposals. Another suggestion put forward was a PADI certification. When you go scuba diving or you get certified, there's a couple internationally standardized certifications, but you have to register through some central company. There's costs. So PADI certification can just be on a public blockchain. You'd have no problems getting that on a public blockchain. Dispute resolution on the blockchain. There's a lot of different ways of resolving disputes. You have court systems. You have a lot of government services right now that can be taken care of on the actual blockchain. So that would be another blockchain-based technology for the Seastead.
I see.
There's the concept of an idea token for the blockchain, where somebody who doesn't live on the Seastead might have an idea for the Seastead and for Blue Frontiers, but if you have so many ideas out there, which one should be implemented. So, like if you might come up with some new wave energy technology, and you want Blue Frontiers to fund it, or you want locals to fund it, you might put that idea out there, and then people with Varyon can kind of show their how much they like that idea, and the higher ones on the list will get more notice and might get implemented.
I see.
Platform pre-sales is another way of funding the actual platforms that Blue Frontiers will be building. You can have people just sign up and basically pledge their Varyon toward a platform and say, okay, we want to make, maybe some religious organization gets together and say, we want to make a, whatever Christian platform. They'll tell everybody, hey, put your Varyon toward this one. They can crowdfund it. Some other idea somebody has, they can say, okay, we want to build a platform, and they'll see if people can all crowdfund that platform, and then Blue Frontiers can create it and put it out in their C zone. Real estate, that'll be another way to use the blockchain. You can have people buying and selling and advertising, whatever, all their real estate through the blockchain, so people know where to go, how to buy, everything.
I see.
Governance, you'll have a lot of different government structures for each platform, but using the blockchain, you can set that in stone, say, okay, here's how the hierarchy works, here's how it works, and put it all on the blockchain. Many different ways of doing governance. There was the thought of blue tech investment, where people come up with ideas and you can invest in those ideas, whatever it goes along with that idea token, and people can invest in this blue technology. One big thing is an identity token. So when somebody comes in, their identity can be tied to this token, where people can go on the blockchain and say, oh, okay, in business, in property registration, anything, they can say, okay, this person is, he has something on the blockchain that shows it's him. He can sign transactions to prove who he is. This goes along with voting. If you have one person, one vote, you need to identify individual people. This goes along with many other parts of the blockchain to identify yourself. This actually got a lot of people interested, was pet registration. You might have your dog or cat or whatever, you want to keep them registered, so if they get lost, they can just scan their little tag, like, oh, okay, this belongs to this guy. That goes back into the identity.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, that should be good. Another one would be a citizenship token. This shows that you're a citizen of whichever platform. One idea thrown out was kind of different levels of citizenship. You might have like copper, bronze, gold, silver, which can give you different levels within the government. You might get better health care with the gold, or depending on what you want to pay for. That's kind of goes along with the citizenship token. Legal contracts. we can have blockchain-based legal contracts where somebody enters into an agreement with somebody else. We can just say, okay, here's the contract, anybody can see it. So if there's any dispute, they go right to the contract. It goes back to that dispute token idea. Says, okay, here's how it is, and then it'll play out. And a lot of these, we're actually looking to get off-the-shelf technology. We don't want to create all this ourselves. We want other companies that are already doing this to come and use Blue Frontiers, use the Seastead as just a hotbed of incubation, testing out their product, and use us as guinea pigs.
So I hear like somebody talking about is Varyon currency is very, very special just for sea studies only, right? So can you tell me how is special is about Varyons really? What is make Varyon very special on these projects?
Well, Varyon, the value behind it is that Blue Frontiers, that's the only thing they'll accept. So that gives it its value, and the fact that we're going to be using it on the Seastead and tying in all these other blockchains give it more value, because we're kind of looking at Varyon as kind of like the central hub currency for all these projects. So if these projects take off in other parts of the world, say the real estate, PADI certification, anything else in the rest of the world, it's already compatible with Varyon. Can be used for many things. We're looking actually in French Polynesia to tie it into the tourism. So we'll have different tours and different airlines, have them all accept Varyon, since people coming into French Polynesia will hopefully have Varyon so they can spend it. Another idea someone threw out was a species sponsorship, which you'd have like some species of fish or something like that people want to preserve. We can have it sponsored on the blockchain, and people can take care of it, take pictures. So another thing would be electricity token. Everybody will be getting probably solar, wind, wave energy. We want to foster the idea that people can, they want to create energy. They'll be incentivized to create different kinds of energy. So an energy peer-to-peer type of blockchain, so that if your neighbor's using a lot of electricity, but you have a lot of electricity, you can just sell it easily over the blockchain. There's other companies working on this, so we would definitely team up with them, try to get this going. And finally, the visa and passport program would be all blockchain based. Passports can easily be checked on the blockchain. Anywhere you go, you say, okay, I'll check the blockchain, there's my passport, there's my identity that's linked to the passport. Visas for anybody coming, they'll show how long they're able to stay, all the process that you have to go through to get a visa. Should be simple, should be on the blockchain. If you ever done a visa anywhere, then you'll see that governments make it way more complicated than it should be. It should just be something you go on a computer, maybe takes 5 minutes for a human, if at all, to verify, okay, this person's legit, we'll give them a visa.
That sounds very interesting, right? I don't have to go all over the place to get a visa, right?
Right.
That's very cool.
So that's, and yeah, definitely we want to work with companies. We want to be where startups come to the Seastead with their blockchain ideas. We're making that a big focus of the Seastead, so use us as guinea pigs. We're going to make sure we have plenty of internet there, so that we're wanting to mine there. We're wanting to make it very blockchain friendly. We're doing our funding through the blockchain, everything will be very transparent. So the blockchain is definitely part of this project.
That's very cool. Thank you so much, Mr. Elwartowski.
Thank
So, right here we'll see the internet trip. I think it's Blue Frontiers and Varyon. This project of Seasteading is look very interesting. Right, we will see how it's work out, and I hopefully everything work out perfectly. Alright, see you guys. Bye bye.